Good morning, my dear friends. I am Prashant Mahavani and I warmly welcome all of you to Study IQ. I hope you all are doing good and I hope you all are 100% charged, right? Your battery is charged just like your mobile phone. So we have a positive statement, and that is dream big, start small, begin now. Dream big, stay out of the box, start small. Step by step, incremental changes will take you a long way, and begin now basically means whatever you want to do or achieve in life, the starting point could be now, or in the present moment. With this, dear friends, up to 50% off is provided on our pen drive and tablet courses. At present, today is the last date, so make sure you make the most out of this, up to 50% off. With this, the first item that we have is pertaining to this Sunjuan army base attack that took place. The number of casualties in this terror attack has risen to 7 after clearing operations, and this attack was conducted by heavily armed terrorists, right? Small groups, they come in small groups. And the other thing is that one thing that we have to keep in mind is that this small groups and this intruders or terrorists, right, they come here to die. So this is means at least they are going to get a little bit of success in their mission, because there is going to be some sort of collateral damage is going to be there. So in this way, they know that they are going to succeed. At least they would be able to create some sort of damage to us. So this is a very it is in fact one of the most challenging thing to prevent, because first of all, the biggest challenge is that these terrorists, right, they can, and they do in fact easily mix up with local people. So it is very difficult. It is like finding a needle in a haystack. So, and you have less information about them and things like that. So, and many times there are few, you can say 1% or 0.% people who do support and provide them shelter and other things. So in this way, they come here to die, and in this way they get this sort of support, right? They have been trained by some local peoples as well. Many a times 1.1% or something, they tell them about these movements of army and other things. So they would be knowing more about us rather than we knowing more about them, right? So this is of course a worrisome aspect, because this is not something that we have witnessed for the first time, right? A repeated success of terrorists in infiltrating high security military complexes is a matter of concern, because you can imagine if they can infiltrate into our high security military complexes, right, then they can easily infiltrate, or they can easily attack us at our homes and at our markets and other places. And nowadays we are seeing this trend of terror process outsourcing going on, isn't it? We have seen in European countries where it is a bit difficult to carry weapons. Even carrying a knife as well is a big thing in many European countries. So over there it is nearly impossible, if not, it means it is very difficult to get gun and like AK-47s or this sort of things. It is very, very difficult, and their security and is of course high compared to us, no doubt. So over there they have started using vehicles. So this is how these terrorists are executing their missions or whatever they are doing against humanity. Now, the biggest one took place back in history, right? A couple of years ago, we saw this Pathankot Air Force Station attack, and since then we have seen Uri was a bigger one, and it's just a couple of them, right? Just to name a few, you have a long list of this types of attack taking place in our country. It's not that government is not doing anything. Government has sanctioned a huge amount of money as well for upgrading the security. Right after this Pathankot attack, right, there was a committee was constituted, and that committee went through each and every military complex that we have in our country, and they suggested the things that we can do, bits and pieces here and there, some fixes, and all these things were suggested, and work is going on all these things as well, no doubt. But still, if we want to see a radical change, then what we have to do is we have to stop relying too much on our boots. That means deploying more and more soldiers is not going to help. We need a sort of human touch as well. But most of the job can be done by technology. So if we are not deploying technology, we have CCTV cameras and this infrared cameras and thermal cameras and you name it. There is a long list of things that we can do. Satellites can be there. You can use drones for scanning your area. So these are the things we need, right? More and more CCTV, then you need more back office work as well. They can analyze things going on. You may find there will be complaints regarding too much surveillance, but we cannot lose our boys in this way. So technology can be a right answer for getting rid of all these attacks. With this second item is pertaining to Holocaust, suppressing history. Poland's Holocaust legislation highlights its continued shift to the far right. Basically, a country called Poland, you find this country here in Europe. Here you can see Germany. This is Poland. The capital is Warsaw. And the question number 1 for you today, right? MCQ, or you can call it question. This is there is a little bit of change in way I will deliver questions now. So the first one is Poland. You have Poland here, so you have to identify this water body. Name this water body that you find here. What is the name of this water body? This is your first question. And also I would suggest all of you guys to go through all these neighboring countries that are sharing border with Poland. A very important meeting regarding environment is going to take place in Poland this year. We will talk about it in detail as we come a bit closer to it, but for now just keep this thing in mind. With this, right, as you can see here, Germany is not far from here, and if you go back in 1900, in somewhere around in means basically World War I and World War II era, right, then World War II era, during this reign of Hitler, we know that Poland was invaded by Hitler, and the main problem of Hitler was that he used to consider Germans as the top Aryan race, and he used to consider all other races as inferior to him. He was very much, you can say, against this Jew people, right? He was against Jews, and of course he was not only just against Jews, he was against black people as well. He was against other color people too, and he was basically against, means he was full of hate and rage. And you know what he did, this Holocaust, right? Holocaust, basically he killed millions and millions of Jews in different parts of Europe. All those areas that were under him, he executed them without any mercy. And most of them, right, the main problem was that Jews were successful in business and things like that, and he was the main problem of, or the thing that Hitler was not happy about. He was saying that they are taking over our economy and they are supporting our enemies and things like that. So he started all these gas chambers and other ways of imposing atrocities on Jewish people. So this was his reign and his phase of, you can say, peak of Nazism. And now this Polish government, it is trying to bring in a legislation, and after, if you pass this legislation, what will happen basically is that you cannot blame Poland for this Nazi atrocities, right? You cannot blame the country for this Nazi atrocities, and of course this is not going to be well taken by a European Union. Israel is going to be very unhappy about it, and there are going to be other countries as well, right? They are going to be angry regarding this legislation of Poland. The other thing is, we have to understand one more thing, that in every country you find there will be small group, maybe small group. Many a times, sadly, there are some countries where you find people in majority who are having views that are many a times against humanity. Now, I believe every sensible human being on this earth will agree on this thing, that Holocaust was one of the most horrific thing that we have witnessed, right? One of the most horrific thing that humanity has witnessed. Killing children, women, elderly people, innocent people is something that is, of course, an act of devil, isn't it? Now, you will find there would be some people who would be supporting this thing. They would be saying that whatever happened for good and things like that. And then you have good people as well. You have both these people in your country. The more mature a country becomes, the more educated you are, the more sensitive you become towards the problems faced by other people. You feel compassionate about it, even though we know that directly we were, as Indians, right, directly we were not affected by this Holocaust thing. But if we go back through our culture, the way we have always supported, you can say, multiple views and ideas, we have always welcomed. We know that Jewish people have been living here in our country for a very long period of time. And recently, when Prime Minister of Israel was here in India, he said that there has never been any case in our country, in India, that Jew people have faced any sort of this sort of anti-religious problems or things like that. So this is indirectly we are related with it. And what I'm trying to say here is that, see, there are some people, there are small groups in Poland, they are supporting this thing. But imagine what will be your future. The impact of this legislation on art, right? What do you want to teach your future generation, right? If you don't allow people to discuss this thing. Of course, we know that authorities at that point of time, they were not the ones who directly killed this Jews, but there were many people, right? There were many people who were supporting this Nazism as well. Because of this thing only, they were able to succeed. So you cannot hide, you cannot suppress history, the things that have took place. The best that we can do is learn from our mistakes, right? Whatever mistakes, just in case if we have made any, then we have to learn from our mistakes. And we cannot, Europe, you are living in Europe, we are talking about a country in Europe, right? Europe is famous and well known for freedom of speech, democracy and other things. And European Union as well has warned Poland against this legislation. But you know, we have discussed about this thing earlier on as well, that you have this far right, or you know, extreme right groups taking place, or their strength is increasing in Europe. And this is going to be a bit dangerous for the world that we know today, right? For this democratic fragrance of Europe. With this, we have a very interesting article. It is about ratings. You know, recently ratings were in news because of Moody's rating, and this was widely discussed by our Prime Minister, Finance Minister. It was discussed we have discussed about it, no doubt. And you know, rating nowadays, you find it in it's not nowadays, for a very long period of time now, we find this rating. They ask you, keep on asking you about this, rate our app and rate our other things, etc. And rating an individual, the idea of rating an individual, an entity, and even a nation has been there for ages and ages, right? Ions basically means ages, for a very long period of time. And nowadays we have this modern credit rating agencies. The main job of credit rating agencies is that they will go through, say for example, you have a business called Tata in our country, right? Tata is quite famous. So if you approach a credit rating agency, then they will, or it will in fact provide you have to pay fees for for getting report or data on it, and it will provide you insight, and it will provide you different sorts of analysis on this data, and in this way you would be able to make a much informed decision whether you should go ahead with data, whatever business you want to do with data, right? So this is how it works, and it also goes through countries as well. So say for example, if you want to invest in maybe Ghana, right, a country in Africa, if you want to invest in Ghana, then you will approach a credit rating agency, or you can approach a credit rating agency, and that rating agency will give you details regarding Ghana, what is the business environment over there, and things like that. The money, the simple is that the more you pay, the better information they will provide you, or the more information you will get for them. So this is how it works. This is their business model. And earlier on, this article is talking about how it all started in New York, and then later on we have seen many changes taking place in this business model as well of credit rating agencies. And now they charge to both investors as well as entity, right? So if they are going through your, say for example, if you want this Moody's, if you are Tata's, and if you want Moody's to go through your business and come out with a proper analysis, then you have to pay money to them. And if you are, say for example, a client, then if you want data, then as well you have. So they are making money from both sides. It's like burning their candle from both ends, isn't it? They are in a very good position, I must say. But the thing is, it's not all good with rating agencies. Their business, many a times we find that they have failed to inspire confidence. In 2007's this financial debacle that took place in USA, at that point of time, there were many credit rating agencies, like Moody's was there. Moody's said that things are very fine with this mortgage estates and other things. But later on, we came to know that this was a big miscalculation. So this is how it works, and it is very important for a country like India and other countries as well to ensure that this rating agencies, they are not biased. Remember last year when Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacted with chartered accountants of our country, at that point of time he suggested that India is going to have its own credit rating agencies, because and once we have one, then of course we are going to see a competition in the market, and then hopefully we will have a couple of credit rating agencies in our country. Now, why do we need one? Because what happens is, many a times this Moody's and S&P and other ones, I'm not saying all the time they are biased, but you never know, right? There are some dirty things going on with different credit rating agencies, so you cannot thoroughly rely on them, of course, right? As politicians, our politicians, they would love to highlight the figures given by Moody's and S&P and other ones. If the figures are good, then of course they will talk about it, and this is part of politics, right? This is, some basic rules that you have to follow. It is just like that. Keep on repeating figures in front of people, and of course they are doing their job, and there is nothing wrong with it. Creating awareness, I'm not saying there is anything wrong with it, right? We cannot criticize our politicians all the time. But anyways, the problem is, if the reports are biased, if the reports are not up to the mark, or if they are not good in quality, then what will happen is you will see this flight of capital. Flight of capital basically means that US citizens of USA, they have invested in India, and now if a rating agency is saying that India is going to go down in a couple of years, or maybe next 6 months, which could be a wrong analysis altogether, then what will happen is that the money that these people have invested, or investors have invested in our country, will start going away or flying away from our country. So this can create huge fiscal misfortunes for us. So we need to have an indigenous rating agency, and The other thing is that there are some changes that we can do, like this outstanding ratings. If someone is giving you outstanding rating, right, then government should go through it. Government should make sure that this is right and not some sort of paid up service. If someone is downgraded, all of a sudden fall is um, given as a rate or as a rating to someone, then as well government should go through it. With this we reach this sanitation reduce. Can sanitation reduce stunting? Very good question. Now normally we would say yes would be the right answer, isn't it? That because we have seen this thing, we have read this thing many a times in different articles, that lack of sanitation, then you know this flies, right? They basically flies, they settle around this fecal material and your food, and this is also believed to be one of the reasons why we have stunted children in our country. Now stunting basically means, it's not that motorbike stunts, right? Stunting means this low height for your age. I'm sure that we have seen stunted children in our country, and if you're not sure, then remember your school classroom, right? In your assembly, when you have to stand in a line, you'll find the one who is lowest in height will be there in the front. And I used to have one of my classmates, right? For ages he was basically, even today when I see him, he is very short in height. At that point of time, people used to make fun of him. In fact, I'm not saying that I was not a naughty student at all. Yes, I was, but we were not knowing about this thing at that point of time, of course, that this is a thing called stunting and why it is taking place. Even this article, right, if you go through this article, you will not come to a sure short answer. And the reason why we don't have a proper answer even today is because of the situation that we have in our country. The thing is, you have a drive going on. This is called WASH, WASH, and it is about water, sanitation and hygiene. Remember washing hands, and United Nations, and Kajol, a famous Indian film actress, she was the brand ambassador of this WASH initiative. I don't know who is the brand ambassador at present, but she was, and United Nations was promoting why it is important for all of us to wash our hands, and how to wash our hands, right? It's just not enough that you rub soap and take a soap or this liquid and then just rub it off quickly. No, there are proper ways to do it. So you can go through it, right? It will help every one of us. It is very important because many times we fall sick because of this unhygienic way of our food habits. Now this WASH intervention, it includes this replacing poor quality toilets with improved ones, chlorinating drinking water, and promoting hand washing. These are the three things that are covered by this WASH thing, right? This WASH initiative, and all in an attempt to protect. This WASH initiative includes to protect toddlers from the fecal pathogens that you find that are believed to interfere with their growth. Now, a research was conducted on Bangladesh and Kenya, and they are very different from our country. Do you know that Bangladesh, the success rate of Bangladesh, look at here. In 2003, 42% of its population was defecating, was engaged with this open defecation, but in 2016 just 1%. Bangladesh is a very inspiring country for us in this open defecation thing, and they are in fact facing the same problem, but the big difference is that in Kenya some 5% population, right, is practicing open defecation, or less than 5%, and here you have this figure 1%. So you see a little bit of changes taking place over there, and there are many reasons. It's not just that once you have all this toilet and once you start washing your hands, then your kids won't be hunted down by this, or they won't get affected by this disease called stunting. The thing is, say for example, if you are stunted, or if your other half, better half, is stunted, then there are high chances that your kid, right, will get may get affected by this disease. The other thing is, if overall sanitation is not there, right, throughout your in your country or in your area, then as well you are not going to find that good results. In our country, we know, right, still even today, this Swachh Bharat Abhiyan is going on, and it has, in fact, this Swachh Bharat Abhiyan has brought in front of us this dark reality that how difficult it is to change people's sanitation habits in our country. Many times I feel so sad that educated people, right, they are throwing plastic bags here and there. We find this thing in our country that if you visit an area, say for example, in which poor locality basically, then you will find that hygiene standards are not that good. And then we have this stereotype in our mind that it is this poor people who are the main culprit or main reason behind this filth that we have. But that is not right. They are living over there because no one is interested in living over there, because that land, even municipalities will not bother you if you are occupying that land. The other thing is, I have seen, and I'm sure you might have seen these things as well, if you are traveling on a highway or even in many times in the city, you find that people driving expensive cars, good cars, right, they will just lift down their power window and they will just chuck away their plastic whatever this garbage they have, packet of wafer or something, or maybe plastic water bottle. So this sort of behaviors, now they are educated people and they are doing it. So it's not about rich and poor, it's not about education and non, right, it is about how much we love our country. That's what I think. And it is a long habit. We won't do this the same thing, right, in our bedroom, right. You won't throw this rubbish on your bed because you have a sort of, you love it, or it is something that you care about, isn't it? In the same way, we don't see it as a country, we see it as our house and our area. So this is a problem, and it has in fact shown us how difficult it is to change our habit. This Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, we are about to reach this deadline, but we are still very far away from it. Now coming back to this particular topic here, right, so this discussion, this trials were conducted, experiments were conducted on this thing, and what we find is that because our overall situation when it comes to open defecation is not that good, we are not going to, or this is one of the reasons why we are not able to see any sort of positive results. Even we are providing good quality food, we are promoting breastfeeding, and if breastfeeding is not possible, then substitute products and other things, right, we are doing everything we can, but we are not able to find positive results, because overall you can see the sanitation scenario is not good, and this is a thing that is not helping us in our fight against this stunting or malnourishment and other diseases. With this last item in editorial page, and it is about this recent finding. Earlier on it was believed that our ancestors were from Africa, and the oldest one were this 1,40,000 to 1,20,000 years ago, because we found some small tools that they used over here. I'm talking about more sort of modern version of human beings, right? So it was believed till now that they used to, or they came from this African portion. But a new finding, right, the name of this finding is given here, and the person that you can see on your screen, his name is Robert Bruce Foote. In 1863, right, he is credited, he is considered like he has contributed immensely when we talk about human history. Many places, many historic places that we find today in our country, like many items in Gujarat as well, in South India, in Madras too. he has found this site, and then research are going on at present as well, and we have these researchers, they have found that the items that we have found in Madras, they are somewhere around 3,85,000 years old. So it's not that this theory is completely out of date now, you don't, but this is something that we have to keep in our mind, and there is a long unknown history hidden here between this period and till, means this range of 3,85,000 years ago till 5,000 years ago. This bracket is having much of our human history. We don't know that much about it, and of course this sort of research will bring more items to it, more items in front of us. Center is studying this PFI, Popular Front of India, and I have one more question for you guys, and it is about I Create, right? What is I Create all about? Name the countries who are partner when it comes to I Create, and that's it. With this, there was a DGP meeting, and during this DGP meeting it was discussed that this Popular Front of India is creating some sort of troubles, and this is, means at present it is under scanner, and ED has also ED has planned to launch a money laundering investigation against this Popular Front of India. With this 11,500 crore scam rocks PNB, Punjab National Bank. A scam is out, and more details will come out. At present, the Enforcement Directorate has registered a money laundering case in this matter, which involves Mumbai-based billionaire diamond merchant Nirav Modi, and the prices, the share price of PNB is down. It had a nosedive, and other banks as well face the same thing, and we are going to find more articles and editorials. Of course, you can go through the newspaper and read the complete report. This is about bacteria link associated with diarrhea, and diarrhea is also causing this malnourishment. Too much of diarrhea and food poisoning also causes this stunting and malnourishment and things like that. So you can associate this thing with that article that we discussed in detail. Supreme Court may hear a plea to take up 2-child policy norms. That means you cannot have more than 2 childs. So this is Supreme Court will hear about it, and we also know that too much of population, or we are going to take over China in 2050. So you can imagine, and this is going to put immense stress on environment and resources. And most of the time we see this riots and other things taking place. At the end of the day, it is about who is having authority over how much of resource. So when you have limited resource, we have to think about different ways of curbing our, I'm not saying that you can force a couple, but it should come from within rather than coming from outside. With this Rouhani, Hassan Rouhani, who is Iranian president, he is going to be here in India. Many editorials and items, we are going to read about it. Make sure you follow this news item. I will provide you important bits and pieces associated with this thing, and this is happening right after Prime Minister's visit to Palestine or West Asia, right? And this is taking place right after a month of Israeli Prime Minister's visit. Israel and Iran are arch rivals, so this is the reason why you find this word balance. Here, India has said that we are ready to support Iraq for its reconstruction. We are ready to provide all this developmental assistance that we have been providing to other countries. Ratan Tata's name is by mistake found in this allegation that is going on against Netanyahu, and Ratan Tata's office has clearly stated that no, they have not filed this complaint. This is about government using LEDs. It will use this energy saving techniques to save powers in industry, and that's everything that we have got in today's discussion. I will see you all soon. Enjoy your studies. Jai Hind.